Welcome, Coach Jeff Goldstein. I know maybe not to use the word coach, but once a coach, always a coach. I want to welcome you to the Tools, Talents, and Techniques podcast.
Lots of thanks, Dustin.
Yeah.
Here.
So before we jump into things, could you just give a brief update on who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate you taking the time and making this happen. We've had a few trips in the calendar. It's thoughtful that season was busy. I mean, how life was full trade. How you go about very heavily. I think very fortunate of product of two golf with able to get a scholarship to play and run golf. I just decided with the young age when I was about 13 that I wanted to some golf ways. I ended up doing that. So now I'm back in San Diego running the business. So it's really about golf guys here on San Diego. And looking forward.
So one of the things I want to make sure that we talk about is that your origin story. And you mentioned, 13 years old and you were in golf. Do you recall when you were first introduced to golf, like when you first picked up a club?
Yes, I do vividly. My mom's dad got me into golf when I was 9. So that was the first time I was introduced. He was a oil and gas businessman out of Philadelphia. They retired here in San Diego. Interestingly enough, I'm a lefty, but I actually play golf right-handed. And when I first learned how to play golf, I kind of mirrored him, and I was starting this right-handed club around so I could actually take a crack at it. And he said, "Why don't we just put me in the right-handed club and see what happens?" Well, behold, a few weeks later, we went to a golf shop and looking at a set of clubs, and there were 75 right-handed sets, and there were one lefty. I'm gonna go choose the other ones over there. So that's how I got started with golf. I played soccer and some other sports when I was a younger kid, but I didn't get hurt. I knew golf was one of those things. I couldn't really get hurt. If the sun was out, I was practicing and striking balls at the community golf center where I grew up in San Diego. I used to walk to the greens and strike balls, and that's how I learned how to play golf.
And so you mentioned the other sport that you were getting injured. Did you love golf right away? Or was it something that you were like, okay, I'm not getting hurt and I'm kind of good at it? Like, what was your initial relationship with golf?
When I came to soccer, I was pretty decent, and my brother was a elite soccer player as well. He's 5 years older, but it was something that you had to have other people to hang out with and practice with, right? So you got to take it to someone else or block a shot, whatever it was. And golf, I just realized that if I was going to make a run at turning professional at some point down the road, it was on me. I mean, it was something that I could practice as hard as I wanted to. And by the time I was like 10 years old was my first tournament that I got into in San Diego. Hung around with Tiger and a lot of the guys that are very famous in the world of golf. So we all played competitive figure golf against one another. And I kind of saw from afar like how good these guys were at very young age. Mickelson, Pat Perez, and lots of Chris Riley, who's a friend of mine here, just qualified for the U.S. Senior Open. So it's on Riles. I do actually like the U.S. and right hand and parents. Yeah, we said that it allowed me how they're at.
So one of the things that you mentioned is that you started when you were 9, and then you competed in your first tournament when you were 10. So you went right to like, I'm working on this too. I'm going to compete.
Well, I'm afraid no way goes nowhere jerk. So the thing that perspective, and the only way you can tee it up is if you, or the only way you can win is if you tee it up, right?
I like that.
My mom was a big proponent in getting me to get out there, test the waters a little bit. And I mean, how do you know if you stack up against competition if you're not playing in competitive events? And junior golf was, San Diego junior golf, looking back at it, is one of those most major organizations. And now you have the Pro States Academy just down the way from where I live in Toledo. If you play, back on 3/5. So junior golf is flourishing all throughout the world. It's absolutely astounding of where it was back then. Let's face it, I'm 50 now, so I've been around golf for many years, and man, that big guy, from 10, 11, 12, that's really when I started getting into junior golf, and Mickelson and Tiger had some wallet share on me. Charlie Hoffman, they all had wallet share on me. So it was one of those things like, I only get good where I'm not losing my money all the time on the chipping.
So as you're 10, 11, 12, when did you say, and if you did, I'm not sure, that you were like, this is what I'm doing? Were there still other sports in the picture, or was it just all golf?
As a come on 13, it was like the last injury that I got hurt playing soccer. I mean, I'm 6'7", I weigh about 225 right now, and at that time I was 5'7", I weighed 95. So let's be real, like, soccer is not the greatest thing to be on as a state kid. So yeah, at the time I was 13, that's when I said, you know what, if there's daylight outside, it's not lightning and thunderstorms, like, out seriously. Yeah, I knew that that's what I wanted to do, and I set my sights on, playing collegiate golf, and eventually turning pro at some point. I didn't want to, but those were my long-term goals.
Okay, and you mentioned that you grew from 5'7" to 6'7". How many
Yeah,
sets? I mean, did you just outgrow your clubs every 6 months? Like, how did that work, or did you just have to hunch over every time?
yeah. Between my sophomore and junior year of high school, during that summer, I grew. I came in that year at about 6'5", so I went from like, five. I think I was 5'10" when I was 15, and then that summer it's like, whoop, like what happened to? Now all of a sudden, all the ball coach wants to talk to me, right? And I'll do the golf, like, good. Uh, yeah, that's what happened. So my clubs were, I've had through a few iterations of a little over standard irons, and that's the other thing with longer clubs. The swing weights are different. There's just a lot of ways that back then in the early 90s that you didn't really know technology. And nowadays it's a little different.
Yeah. So,
Technology golf right now, it's kind of like cheating. Like, let's be real. It's so
well,
good.
I'd love to dive deep into this and about the evolution of golf and what you're seeing out here. But before we talk about the technology part of it, are there any things that you would see in all of your playing, your coaching, your being involved with the sport? Are there things that stand out that is a huge misconception or that people do wrong? And there may be a litany of things. It's probably a long list. Things that
I
like
think we
you
broke out
see
there
that
just a little.
what are the things that you see that almost everybody does wrong or thinks erroneously of the game?
That they do wrong when they're playing,
And
practicing, thinking. I mean, there's a few things, bro.
well, there's a million things, and that's the challenge here. Like sometimes, like I would say, even the concept of hitting down on the ball, right, where people try to scoop it up all the time and hitting down on it, it's such a hard concept to get and something to do consistently. Are there things like that you see with just about everybody?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think it's breaking up a little bit. I'll dive into what I see with just a lot of average golfers of hitting the ball everywhere. Let's be real for a second. It's one of those things that you have a miner, you have a driver. They're different balls, they're different lengths. One swung way faster than the other, less off. A lot of this happens. So the attack angle or the low point of the miner is just going to be very different. So for someone to jump into the game and start thinking about that and say, "Oh wow, so a miner, the angle is going down. A driver, it's a level going up." So and again, I feel that coming back to 1991, 1992, we learned golf swings from magazines. Like we were looking at a full-page spread of the magazine of what Jack Nicklaus was doing in his fadeaway from start to, 2 feet back, to parallel to up at the top. Like, that's two-dimensional, right? So I think the biggest win in golf, I mean, let's face it, since 2003 is the innovation of launch monitors and what a lot of these companies have done to give people the 3D analysis that's out there. When you videos on an iPhone, whether it's down the line or face on, you're only getting two dimensions. Just like looking at a magazine, we're only getting a few dimensions, right? And when you're looking through the lens of a lens monitor, you actually see what that attack angle look like? Let's say. I hope that answers your question specifically. And as you know, golf sport that are learning to decide what word you want to use when it comes to, sometimes it's really amazing, sometimes it's not. But, yeah, I think with the innovation of technology, like we're in for a really cool ride.
So let's talk about the advancements in the actual equipment as well, right? Because you have the monitor, you have, the actual clubs themselves, right? The balls and the clubs. Tell me about your perspective in seeing that journey and what really jumps out and what makes the biggest difference.
How much time now? Wow, again, what a great question. So I was fortunate that I was recruited to play golf at ECU with him, and my college ball coach best friend was Sam Sneak. So Sam and I had some time to spend when he was alive in his latter years. And the biggest thing, and I'm going to use it words right now. So the golf ball has been one of the best transcending innovations over time. What they played with all back then was just not good. Let's be real. And unless you were on tour golf balls back then in the 90s, versus what the regular golfers were playing, golf balls used to you wanted to see the takeoff when a driver was hit with a persimmon wood. Not many people that are in golf right now, what persimmon wood are. Go play Code Hill and they have more persimmon. You go out there and play old school clubs and see how you do it.
Really?
Tiny little head. It's like, yeah.
Wait, at Goat Hill in Oceanside, they have that?
Yeah, you can actually bring your old school clubs out there and play around in golf with persimmon heads and blades that were way back. Sam Snead irons or Ben Owen irons. Those clubs. Doc Rapus was not playing with these massive, ended irons or drivers. Those guys were doing that with just equipment that was so different than it is today. So,
it makes sense. But one of the things, do you see if a beginner or intermediate golfer going into it, where should they focus their time, money, and effort first? Is it like, hey, get the lessons first, or get the clubs, or you need a better ball, or you need what are the steps that they take?
Ooh, yeah, for when the COVID boom, right? A lot of these people that came into golf because there was nothing else to do. They closed the ocean, right? They go to the ocean and they go play golf with someone. But I would always taught that you work from the green backwards, and if you're able to understand time and understand green side action, how the ball reacted from 2, 3, 4, 10 yards off the green, let's be real. Numbers justify things. If you play an 18 hole with a ball and you shoot that every green, that's 36 putts. Ultimately, your score is going to go down. Let's just be real. Instead of having 18 2-putts, if you sprinkle in 6 1-putts and go 3 putts, well, you just fade out some strokes. Around it, again, like you play career pies, go out there around the ball. You can literally hit 14 drivers off of 18 holes because the par 4s and par 5s allow you to do that. So, as good as Tiger was in his day, he wasn't able to skip a hole. So you couldn't take one of those tee shots in your pocket and say, guys, I'm just going to play 17 today, not 18. And you actually have to hit 14 drivers on 40 shots. That's a static number. So between driver and putter, you have 50 shots that are accounted for in essence, right? And if you disagree, whether you use your related to your right arm, wherever it is to your arm. So I'll steal a line from Billy Casper, back to the country club. He would be out there and walking on the range, and guys are whacking 4 iron and 6 iron and all this stuff. And to those guys over there, they're practicing their mistakes. All right, you don't hit many 4 irons. You don't hit that many 7 irons. So go out there and go play Kalina. Go play Mission Bay. Go play Tekalori. Like a new person, that's where they need to be at Kalina.
Yeah.
Learning how to get the ball and now. For sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially like you go back to the numbers. Which club are you using the most? And like you said, it's the putter, right? And then after that, it's the wedges, it's the nines, it's the man. That's so important. But I also you found well, it sounds like, and what you told me before, there's certain things that you were like, nope, I use this. Like for example, for the ball, you mentioned you use Pro V1s. That's your ball, right?
For a long time, growing up, yeah, I was a Titleist guy, and when the professional came out back in the day, a lot of the people know that the professional was the iteration before the Pro V. The Pro V1, I feel, really changed things. And I think it was 99, 2000 when it came out. I was on the Uber store, and that's when I had the ability to actually play really, really all on. And over time, I did some testing with the TP5. I think that's an excellent. All my golf balls they're all so really good. They
Yeah.
really are.
Okay.
Um, right now I'm really fortunate to play where we won. I still think it's the best golf ball out there, and for my game. Okay,
Sure.
for my game. No, I've been doing some work with the team over at Encore Golf out of Buffalo, Steve and his team, and they have absolutely fantastic line of golf balls. For people who are reading the game and also even testing their spin rates on TrackMan and getting some good numbers, and that is something for the average golfer. Like, let's be real, like, golf balls are not $1.25 a wall. They said it be a $4 or $5 per ball, and some people don't have that budget. So it's all relative to the hurt.
Yeah. As far as the technology, going back to what you mentioned about TrackMan, I don't know about the competition for TrackMan or what else is out there, but from when you first saw it to where it is now, like what is it that it does as far as the type of feedback that it gives you? Like where is the most value that it provides?
Yeah. Um, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of lots monitors and radar, and I think based on the time that we have, it's just a very, very broad topic. Um, they're all really, really good. Let's just put it that way. There are so many good monitors that are out there, whether it's TrackMan, Foresight Sports, Full Swing Golf, Flight Scope. And TrackMan was really one of the first ones that came out of art in 2003. Yeah, they're fantastic. I got into the world of law color because my coach was using one, and my coach is based in Rio, Chris Torino, where Torino Open student. He and I used to travel across the country playing professionally together, and we were talking in the middle of 2016, and he said, "You're going to be 50 soon, so you might as well start working on your game and post." And then he's like, I've got this technology that I've been using for instruction, and if you want to build your instruction platform and work on your own personally, look into it. So I went on TrackMan's website, and I'm looking through the feed, and I was like, this thing really $26,000. So I texted it back. I was like, hey, where's the junior version of this thing? Yeah, there's no junior version of this one yet. So for $26,000 at the time, that was something that I chose to jump into the deep end of the pool, and March of 17, I purchased my first TrackMan. But that absolute best decision I ever made when it came to my own personal game, really learning what I call it a client fingerprint or ideal fingerprint of what my specific, how I'm delivering the club to the golf ball. The numbers that are coming back to me are really evident now. For the longest time, I saw myself as a draw player from 6-iron to 15-iron, and then we were 5-iron left, right to left, and then from 4-iron to driver, I was a cut runner. But as I learned with TrackMan over the years, that I'm actually on the side of the chessboard that shows me that I'm a cut runner. So in magazine life, you didn't have that in the launch monitor rule now. Again, whether it's PC block, Goldstein, or TrackMan, whatever it is, you're able to see that, which is phenomenal for instruction. Let's be
Yeah,
real, right? showing a golfer from one swing to the next what they were thinking it was going to be like, to then say, here's your data. Here's where the contact goes on the face. Here's why it will all went into Mrs. Underhill's house that's 7 top to the right. And how you reverse engineer that to actually show it. Let's bring it back and say, here's what happened, and now we can correct.
Okay, so with that being said, where do you see the most value in correction of people's swing? Is it the spin rate? Is it the face? Where do you see most people doing something wrong? Once you look at the monitor.
Ooh, and that's a loaded question. Where do I see them doing most things wrong? In all fairness, there's a lot of noise in the marketplace. I see a lot of people diving into various channels of instruction that's online. No fault of anyone out there. Literally, no fault of anyone that's providing instruction out there. I can't believe that people go down these rabbit holes and, hey, Coach, I saw this video on YouTube that this guy was saying that guy was saying this, and next thing you know, they go out and have their worst round for, over the course of the last few months.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that is sometimes hard to swallow for a lot of these golfers. But when it comes to the data, there's so many there's so many data points that are important, whether it's getting an eye properly, this where low point is, the attack tables, spin rate, not so much. Spin rate becomes pretty ugly with driver and freewood. The cool thing about watching golf on the Golf Channel now, globally, is that these numbers are now being adopted. Right? So you, as a person watching golf, you can actually see that Xander's ball speed is 178 with driver, and his spin rate's 22 driver or whatever, and the guy's hitting it 335 yards. Hopefully that kind of adds some color.
It does, but see, for me, and the reason why I'm asking, because I'm interested in this, because when I see the numbers on like a TrackMan or what, there's so many different things. It's launch angle, it's spin, it's where the club face hit, there's so much data, there's so much information. It's like, I wonder what is the most important one to look at. When you're looking at them, like, what makes the most, is it swing speed? Because then the speed, if you slow it down, you're hitting it more consistently on the face, or, I just don't know. It's sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Right. I would say the key important factors, let's just talk about 9 irons for a second. Knowing the carry distance for a lot of the upper tier players, and this is when, his profile. Dustin Johnson became the number 1 player in the world and best wedge player in the world. When he was using TrackMan, he had one number he was looking at. One number. There's a ton of them. There's over 30 of them that happen on a golf shot. The only number he cared about was carry distance. How far were his wedges carrying? The spin speed with wedges is pitfall relative. You're not spinning out you're not bringing a ton of speed with method. Those are your precision pitch. We're looking at proximity to the hole. So carry distance, I would say, for short irons, and also where the face is pointing at impact. If the face is pointing, 5 degrees right, or where you're aiming at impact at max mile per hour of speed, the ball's probably not going to hit you right the figure out, unless there's some drastic, hand save that you're able to do. So I would look at carry distance, centeredness of contact, like where are you hitting it on the club face? Are you hitting it on the toe, or are you hitting it on the heel, are you hitting it on the bottom of the glove, or are you hitting it too high on the glove? And then as we work into driver, holy smokes, driver is a whole different. Launch, spin, and speed are the 3 numbers that are big focal points. So launch angle, spin rate, and club speed, LSS, if you will look at it like that. Launch, spin, and speed. Those are really, really important for people who are swinging the driver above 100 miles an hour. And by the way, I'm not a master, I'm pretty good when it comes to the analytics. As we're kind of having this tertiary conversation here. There are some elite instructors in the game of golf that this TrackMan conversation or lots of other conversation. to dovetail into 7 hours.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
probably more.
that's,
Um,
that's one of the things I'm really enjoying about golf. Like, it's so layered, it's so complex. There's so many different things about the game that, it's never going to be
yeah, there's a
perfect.
lot of there to golf for sure.
Yeah, and so one thing, it's like it's a never-ending exploration of things. And you know what? So let me ask you this: golf has been in or around your life for 40 years, over 40 years now. What has your relationship been with golf over this time period? I mean, have there been times where you love it, times you hate it? Like, what has been your journey with golf, all in all?
My another perfect question here. I'm gonna say it this way. Um, I believe that golf is the most amazing sport, and in the span of about 42 seconds, you can pat yourself on the back and you can pick yourself in the step. I don't know another sport or another hobby that you can just go from you're in the penthouse and then you're in the outhouse, right? I mean, it just puts things in perspective of how good you think you are, and when it all doesn't cooperate, it's just, oh man, it's this love relationship, and there's millions of golfers out there that can, we're probably all on the same page. Like one moment you think you have it, the next moment you don't. And it's you against the golf course. Um, Sam had this great quote. I think I posted it on LinkedIn recently, and being back in competition after a 3-year kind of stint of being away from it. He would always say, you can't shoot 66 on the first tee. You have to play all 18 holes and get it in the mark. And that was his big thing. You got to close it out. I mean, I love watching Rory, and I don't mean to jump into this whole, like, what's going on world, all good politics. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
if I had a chance to close it out, and he didn't get it in the mark. Let's be real. No one, or I say no one, but there's many elite golfers who have gone through what he went through coming down the stretch. So he's probably a little jacked right now, and I could see mine. He jumped in that car and rolled off, but no one knows, right? I mean, he knows. But yeah, I absolutely love golf and have since I was a kid. I just think golf is in a great spot. Tier golf is in a great spot. Business development with golf is in a great spot. Charity golf tournaments. And just to go back to the whole instruction piece, if I was new to the game, and then this is what I'll say coming into golf, if I was new to the game, learning the least athletic movements in golf, which are putting and tipping, that would be the focal point. But also, I would seek out an instructor that has upper tier technology, whether it's video analysis, pressure plates. I mean, there's a ton of instructors that are here in Southern California that are absolutely fabulous. And the thing about the launch monitors is that it's kind of hard to refute the analytics. Like our eyes, we're looking at someone hit an iron on the range. Yeah, I mean, it went 152 yards in the air, but why did it draw 31 feet? So we can now uncover that. Okay.
One of the things that, like, all the information, the data, the analytics, and where the game is going, I'm really, there's a difference between when you see somebody who's very technical and somebody who just has it, like that smooth swing. And the same thing for other sports too. Like in basketball, someone has their own style, right? But when you see people that can put it together, like both things, like they have their own flow, their own style, but they're also analytical. They also use the technology. I'm really looking out to see who's next, who's coming up in the sport, and who's able to put all those things together. Like, will there be another Tiger Woods? Is there somebody else that's coming up? Is there anybody that you see on the junior circuit? Do you pay attention to the juniors?
I honestly, I've been out of competitive golf for a while now, and just kind of watching who's coming up. But what I would say is, when I met people on the tee box and they see a TrackMan that they're about we're about ready to get, I had multiple people say, I just bought my son or daughter a love talker, and they're getting ready to go play in the junior world or whatever it is, a global golf tournament. Like, that to me right there is how many parents are investing in their kids at a young age to give them what we didn't have. Like, let's be real. I mean, prior when we were growing up and playing professionally, like, we were out there trying to figure it out. We weren't given at the time because it just didn't exist. We weren't given that feedback of what it is now, where a junior golfer can go out on the range and set out and do a TrackMan combine and compare their numbers to, here's what the numbers are of global tour players. Here's what the numbers are for a mini tour player. Here's collegiate D1. Here's a scratch player. Here's a 3 to 10 handicap, right? So you can actually, on a global level now, which is phenomenal, compare yourself to another player or players all across the world and see how you stack up. That, to me, right there in itself spans the learning curve. It makes it a lot quicker for people. And it also eases the frustration. Frustration and golf kind of go together, but let's be real. I think it expedites the learning curve.
The fact that it is global and the communication between people and sharing of information globally, like you mentioned, I think is really an important thing because that's how things build on each other. And I know in basketball, you look back, you look at the dunks that people are doing now in basketball. I mean, a lot of that's because I believe of YouTube and clips and sharing, because one person sees what, Vince Carter does and they're like, oh, I can do that. I bet you I can do that with a spin, or I bet you I can put it between my legs backwards and do that. And everybody is building off of what came before. And so that's really exciting, to your point, that people can share the data and what people are doing and then try to do better. And that goes back to your initial point about competition. And so you're comparing it to somebody else, how are you going to know where you stand?
Yeah. And I will throw this in there as well. I'm not a parent. I don't have kids. But there are enough parents with Mike Phillips. He coaches elite theater golfers in Reno. And a lot of parents think that their kid starting golf is like a real ticket to a scholarship. Doesn't matter if it's boy or girl. Getting them involved in junior golf at a young age and working like an instructor that has the analytics to show. And it's plain and simple. If you want your child to be offered a D1, D2, D3 scholarship at some college in the country, they have to possess certain capabilities on the golf course. Like, you just can't go out there and say, Johnny went out and shot 76, and he's going to look back by XYZ University. Well, Johnny shoots 66 3 times in the span of a month. Okay, and here's his combine report, and here's what he's back. Here's his club SP with driver. Right? Those are the elements that a lot of these coaches are looking for across the country, and also international. That golf is such an international game now. It's it has been for many years. And you asked the up and coming people who are out there. I mean, there are so many good players that are coming out, and at the end of the day, I would say half a shot around over the course of 4 rounds. Whoever can capitalize on that half a shot is probably going to be someone that is winning consistently out there. I mean, you look at the lap won the Palm Desert Finance. I mean, that hasn't happened in how many years? I don't know what the number was that they threw out. Or an amateur, I think it was St. Nicholas at one night. With the Grand Wonka. The kids growing up right now playing golf. Very good spot. Good technology, and they're pretty young good.
So, I know you mentioned previously, like, some of the organizations that you worked with, and I know with that tournament that you did at First Tee, has a program. Are there anything as far as like these youth programs, things that stand out besides just the data and the analytics? Is there anything that you see that youth that are getting into golf should be more mindful of, or anybody that does things better than somebody else for any reason?
Yeah, I would say, again, I'm a San Diego Junior Golf alumni, so I'm a product of that platform, which I still think is one of the best on the West Coast. And, Pro Kids, the first few San Diego, Curtis and Daniel are over there, and Marcel, they're amazing what they've been doing. And my buddy Chris Neal runs Future Champions Golf here, and he's actually over at Stadium. He's had an amazing platform of getting golfers ready for collegiate level and mini tour and eventually turning pro. I mean, when you get to those high levels, like the kids already have to be playing pretty darn good. To get into the game, I would say there are some junior programs. They actually, the Pro Kids First Tee San Diego has an X3 facility up in Oceanside. They have another property up there. But yeah, I mean, just kind of seeking out where the kids to kind of get into the game, being prepared for competition.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things that I'm seeing now that maybe I wasn't aware of, but I believe it is more of an intentional effort now, is that exposure. Kids being exposed to golf from different areas, from different socioeconomic arenas. I just feel like I'm seeing more of that, and maybe it's just because of the pools that I swim in now that I'm just seeing it more. But I do feel like there's an intentional effort for more people to get involved in the sport, because and it's so amazing. There's so much to it: the physical, the mental, the sense of camaraderie, the community. I mean, it has everything. Like I see why you could be in this sport for, 90% of your life and still be absolutely, in love with it, because it's remarkable. And I'm having a lot of fun with the game and with the industry itself.
Yeah. But, I mean, golf is absolutely fantastic. It truly is. I'm a fan of what you're doing, what you're bringing to the, fresh pair of eyes, fresh pair of ears that they come to the game. And we talked about this before, that looking through a different pair of binoculars, like when you're able to take people on the course and talk through a golf shot, or just a strategy of how to, from teeing the golf ball out to where you should be putting, probably you're on the, particular pin position. That's a lot of things that I think has been, there's seeing the golf ball, there's playing the game. They're very different. And when you get people on the golf course to actually play the game, and how do you mark your golf ball? How do you fix a divot? Those are some things that get people on the golf course. And that's why I love Kalina. And you can go out there and walk 18 holes in an hour and 35 minutes. Let's be real. And walk. That's the other thing. I think a lot of these fanatics out there, people are out there riding the carts. It kind of, it's a little different than actually walking.
Yeah.
Being able to kind of just embrace nature.
But that's another part of the beauty of this. You could do both. There's a place for each. There's a time for a walk in the park, and there's a time to ride around and just hoot and holler and have fun with your friend. And you can do both. And it's the same sport, just a different aspect of it. So, hey, listen, before we go, Jeff, first of all, I want to say thank you for your time, for sharing your experience and like everything that you've done with golf, and you continue to push things forward for the sport and for the community of golf. Is there anything that you want to leave with here? Anything that you want to give the listeners, and also where can everybody find you?
No, I appreciate that. I mean, grateful to hear and sharing some ideas. We've heard a lot of topics here. And now being in the business world and running my own company and being a solopreneur and whatever you want to call it, that you and I are very similar paths with. There's so many great, just to talk a little bit about golf events and nonprofits in Southern California. People in the business world getting out there and supporting a lot of these great organizations and raising money. That's something that's pretty close to I've always been a fan of doing that, and fortunately, using technology to integrate that with a lot of these events and supporting them in a way that we can operate technology out off of that and do some fun contests out there, and I connected you to a lot of we just did the Juneteenth golf tournament on Monday over at Loma Santa Fe Country Club with Alani Walker and help them raise some money out there. These people get out there and play golf, right? Just get out there and smell the grass and enjoy the camaraderie, and that's something that's really, really cool. You can follow me on LinkedIn. That's a great source to connect with me. I'm always open to connections and learning more about other events across the country that we can support. And just get out there and keep playing.
Yeah, so I will have all of your connection notes and where to find you in the show notes here. But again, I really love what you're doing, Jeff. I appreciate it. Appreciate your friendship. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you again for your time.
All right, Justin. Thanks so much. It really, really did.